I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. You could be Mr. Right. At this point in my life, I will not sacrifice. If we don't vibe, it's not rocket science, it's chemistry. You gotta match my energy. I won't let loneliness, no, no, have me tolerate disrespect. I won't let loneliness, no, force me to a life of regret. Yeah, I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. You could be Mr. Right at this point in my life. I will not sacrifice if we don't vibe. It's not rocket science, it's chemistry. You gotta match my energy. I won't let loneliness, no, have me tolerate disrespect. I won't let loneliness, no, force me to a life of regret. Yeah, I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush.
Hey y'all, how are you? Whew, it's been a long week. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely missed the virtual cruise this week. So we are here for Thinness Does Not Equal Beauty podcast. This is our third week of the official podcast. If you are on Apple Podcasts, then you see a few extra episodes from some of our other virtual cruise activities that we felt like you guys definitely should have been a part of. So we wanted to share that with you. So tonight we are back for part 3 of Fat and Flirty Dating While Plus Size. I am joined by Simone Mariposa, The King Haize, and Ravy Baby. I am Christina Howe. I am the founder and creative director of Curvy Fox. For those of you that don't know, Curvy Fox is a luxury lifestyle brand created to empower women to reclaim their confidence and live life unapologetically. So I am super excited because if you were listening to part 2, then you know your girl got some homework. I got challenged to come back and relive the moments of me shooting my shot. And you know what? I ain't no chump. So I went and did some extra credit, y'all. So before we get into all of that, make sure you do us a favor and share the live. And if you're listening back to this podcast, then we are live on Facebook right now. It is Thursday. We are joined by Latasha in Youngstown. We are joined by Takora. We are joined by Kendra in Orlando. We have Dominique in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We have Ed Graves in Dallas, Texas. We have my girl Kendra in Dallas, Texas. And y'all, we have Dominique and we have Ash Marie. I'm super excited. So make sure y'all do us a favor and go ahead and share this live. Hey, Aoki in Baltimore, how are you doing? If you don't know, last week I went into my time is a form of currency, and I'm really picky about how I spend my time. And a lot of y'all felt me on that, so I figured we definitely needed a t-shirt for it. So officially on the curvyfox.com website is My Time is a Form of Currency tees. It is listed under Time Equals Currency. So make sure y'all go out and support, grab your t-shirt. These are going to be limited edition t-shirts. They will not be available after the podcast season ends. So make sure y'all go ahead and grab those t-shirts. So let's see. Are y'all ready to get started? Give me a thumbs up if y'all are ready to jump into this week's episode. Okay, we have Alexis from Atlanta who just joined us as well. Hey, Alexis. Oh, if you were on for the beginning of the podcast, we had a song playing called No Rush by Necco Stewart. Make sure y'all go follow her on Instagram. Her tag is on the Facebook Live. The song is called No Rush. So make sure y'all go out and support. The song, actually, I'm not sure, but I don't believe it's been released yet. So, Kirby Fox with the exclusive on that one. Okay, it looks like we have some thumbs up in the chat. So we're gonna go ahead and bring, as y'all know, I call him our male BFF, Haize, on, and we're gonna go ahead and recap some of the things from last week. So y'all make sure y'all go ahead and welcome our BFF Haize to the podcast.
What's going
Hey,
on?
Haize.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
How you doing? We can hear you.
All right, cool. I couldn't hear myself for a second. Well, yeah, what's going on? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you've done your extra credit and homework, so it is what it is.
You know what? You wasn't even supposed to get that little sneak peek earlier. You caught me off guard when you called me, but you got that exclusive on my extra credit homework. And you know what? I ain't even gonna say it. I ain't gonna say it. But it's some extra credit homework going on right now too.
Uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
yeah, last week we talked about shooting your shot, and if we asked myself, Simone, and Raven, do we shoot our shot? Me personally, I do not believe in shooting your shot. I believe if a dude is interested in you, he's gonna come and he's gonna approach you and give you his interest. But I have shot my shot before, and to me, they were some fails. I ain't gonna tell you no story. Like, I was like, oh, this is why I don't do this. No way. Like, I had hairballs. Like, I was like, dang, I thought my shot was a little bit better than that. Because the girl, she was really feeling herself. I was cute. I made myself up for the moment. Like, I was just feeling myself. I was really into it. But, there was some air. Yeah. So, hey, what was your favorite moment from last week about you and myself?
That moment. when I challenged you and called you out towards the end of the show, that was definitely my favorite moment. Last week I didn't say much as I had the week before, but what I said I think was meaningful, and I'm glad that I was able to end it on that. So yeah, that definitely is what stuck out to me. Your response was priceless.
Yeah, I think that stuck out to quite a few people. I think Curvy Fit Chick on Twitter was like, that was her favorite part from last week. And then she was like, you gathered me. I was like, dang, you're supposed to be Team Kirby Fox. Like, what is going on? But let us know in the comments, what was y'all's favorite part from last week's episode? If you haven't listened to part 2, you definitely have to go back and check that out. But yeah, that was my least favorite part of last week's episode for sure. Like, I wasn't feeling it.
It wasn't that bad.
It was definitely that bad. I don't know. So I'll go ahead and jump into the homework. So y'all asked me to pull the receipts from me shooting my shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are, I think I've shot my shot maybe 4 times. So I pulled receipts for 2 of them, right? So the first one was the one that we talked about where I shot my shot and I got the feeling like he was just like, girl, bye, and then he ended up becoming my neighbor, which was traumatizing for me because, you done shot your shot and it didn't go in, and now you got to see this dude every day. Like, that was traumatizing for me. It was like the last time I ever shot my shot. And so I pulled off the receipts. Y'all, he didn't even respond. And I think that's why I took it as the girl bye. And we've DM'd since then. Like we've talked, we've like kikied. Like when he was my neighbor, we talked. Like if I was going like doing my nightly exercise, whatever, and he was driving by, we'd have like conversations and stuff. But he just completely overlooked the whole like me shooting my shot thing. I don't know what that was about, but
But you remember last week when we said it's about like how your perception was probably worse than the reality. So give us our credit that we called that correctly. But I'm
yeah,
glad you went back and looked over it. It's like with the
they.
athlete like reviewing. Go ahead.
I'm not showing y'all the receipt, but I will tell you exactly what I said and how I shot my shot. But I'm gonna let Haize finish. But I will tell y'all that I ain't gonna show the receipts now, y'all, because this is on my personal social media, and I don't want to put my personal social media out there. So I ain't gonna show the receipts.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna give y'all the rundown of what I said, and I thought it was
No,
pretty.
no, you need to show them receipts. But nonetheless, I'm just glad it wasn't as bad as what you thought it was, honestly, and hopefully that helped your confidence with that a little bit more. But also, like, I think like it highlights the fact that our perception often can make things worse than what it is, and like that thing will play with your confidence and play with your mind for so long. Like you've been sitting here, what was that, a couple years ago, with this just thought that this man just completely shot you down, and it wasn't even that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. It well, as bad as I thought in my head, it was bad. I still think it was bad
Mm.
because he never responded at all. Like I would rather you be like, "Nah, girl," like just let me know what's up. But what happened was he posted something to his stories, right, y'all? And I had hit like, no, I commented and I said something about him looking good. I can't remember now, but I guess I gotta post the receipts now because I can't remember exactly what I said. But I said something about him looking good or whatever, and he was like, "Thank you," and he put the emoji with the kissy face and the heart coming out. So I was like,
Mm.
"Oh yeah, this is my chance right here." So then I slide in and I was like, I take thank yous in the form of dinners, movies, or late night walks, and that was it. That was it. I don't know.
We're
I
gonna
don't
get you
know what
right.
y'all.
We're gonna get you right.
But I think that was a good shot. I don't think it was aggressive. Like we talked about, sometimes the tone can be,
For sure.
throwing
For
it off.
sure.
I think that was subtle, but not like you need to take me out.
I agree with that. That's fair, but at the same time, it's like what did you say towards the end of the last show? You got your table together, you got fine china, you cooking, you got all this stuff prepared in life. Like you just got to go out and get what you like. And what happened came out today. Gabrielle Union didn't even let the fact that her man was married stop her from getting her man. You can shoot your shot at somebody single.
Oh well, no, I don't understand now, y'all. I
That's
don't
why I
know, y'all.
said
They
shoot your
tell
shot at somebody
my
single.
parents.
That's the yeah, single.
Yeah,
We
we're
don't
gonna
do
find
that.
somebody single for sure. Um, but I'm glad. Like I felt relieved that it wasn't aggressive because we did talk about um sometimes it could be the tone and how, my homeboy, always, he tells me sometimes, I could be a little bit aggressive. I treat dating like I treat business deals and, I just go all in. And so, I don't know, but that one wasn't that bad. So let me tell y'all about the other one, right? So the other one was before this one, and it's what made me feel like, oh, okay, I probably could do this, right? Like I say it was an air ball, but so I shot my shot in the DM, right? This one I ain't gonna tell you. I don't remember what the whole conversation was, but anyways, he ended up coming back and was like, basically I'm dating somebody right now. I don't believe in dating multiple women at one time. I'm really trying to be intentional about how I date and stuff right now. So I want to give her my time and my focus. So he was like, if for whatever reason this don't work out, I see you doing your thing, like, maybe we can link up or whatever, right? So I was like, oh, okay, cool. you know, but I still consider that an airball. What do you consider an airball? when
An
shooting your shot?
airball, an airball to me would be if you shot your shot and then the person responds like how you thought the dude responded, like saying, hey, why would you even do that? Why would you even DM me like that? Like that's an air ball. I really think that even if somebody turns you down, it's not an air ball. Like it just wasn't successful. In basketball, we say shooting your shot, right? In basketball, if you make 40% of your shots, you're a great shooter, damn near. So I mean, you're still gonna miss more than you make. So it's not necessarily air ball.
Okay. So here's like for before I go into the extra credit, y'all, our fave is back. Simone Mariposa is back. Can we go ahead and welcome our girl to the Thinness Does Not Equal Beauty podcast tonight? Simone, are you with us?
I'm I'm here.
Hey girl. Come on,
Hey.
Red Lip.
I
Come
have to
on, Red Lip.
spruce it up just
I
a
love
little bit
it.
because we're doing
I love it. So I'm just giving the rundown on my homework right now. I definitely went back and pulled some receipts. And so now I'm going into so the first one, he actually did not respond. The guy that I talked about last week, he didn't respond at all. But we went through what I said, wasn't aggressive. I basically was like, he was looking good and whatever he posted on Instagram, and he was like, "Thank you," with the little heart the kissy face emoji with the heart coming out. And I was like, I take thank yous in the form of dinners, movies, walks in the park, whatever. And he never responded. But
Well, you did what you had to do, right?
I did. But I think that's him not responding is what made me took it as like, girl, bye. So like Haize was saying, it was just my perception, which is what y'all said last week. I probably, made it bigger than what it was, which I did. But I'm still traumatized about the fact that I shot my shot and he became my neighbor. Like, that was a lot. So, um, okay.
Well, I
For look,
mean,
y'all, the internet does not want us to be great, like, at all.
today's just
But
not the day. Today's just
it's
like
not.
weird.
I am, I know my internet is super good right now, but it looks like my feed is, like, messed up. But you know what? We gonna keep it moving. Anyways, so for the extra credit, there was a second guy that I shot my shot at, and basically he was dating someone, and he didn't, want to date multiple people or whatever, but, if things didn't work out, then he, may circle back or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay. That one wasn't that bad. So I actually did some extra credit. I followed up on the two shots that I shot to see what their thoughts were about me shooting my shot. And so the first one, he didn't respond again. Um, but the second one, he basically responded and was like, it wasn't an air ball. It was the fact that he was dating somebody at the time. He wasn't ready. He just wanted to be honest, and he would have rather been honest with me instead of like stringing me along and stuff like that. So he was like, it definitely wasn't airball. He wasn't saying like, nah. He was like, it just wasn't the right time or whatever. And so I was like, well, I considered it an airball. He was like, nah, it wasn't. So that's why I asked Hayes, like, what does he consider an airball when shooting your shot? Because to me, it still didn't go in.
Yeah, that's actually a good question too, because I wonder what rejection really looks like in a case when a guy's like,
Yeah.
I'm actually not feeling you at all, versus it being like it's just not the right time, or I mean, because honestly,
Right.
you might not be fortunate to have that communication. Like that guy really couldn't have, really didn't have to say that, So it's like, how can you tell?
Hayes, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of what I got at before. Like I don't think that that's necessarily airball. Like most of the shots you take aren't gonna go in. That's in any sport or anything that we're talking about. I think like if it was a hard rejection, kind of how you perceived it, that would have been more of an of a straight up airball. This one was just kind of a, things didn't align. So You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so you got to take some. So
Yep.
I think for
True.
me it was like awkward because he is somebody I respect, as far as um like like business and stuff like that. I respect his hustle and things like that. So it was kind of like, dang, I shot my shot, and like, do I ever do business with him again? And it just makes it a little bit awkward, which I probably should have thought about that before shooting my shot. But what were you gonna say, Simone?
No, I was just saying I agree with the idea you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I mean, I know that and I'm aware of that, but that doesn't necessarily encourage me to do it more often. So it's
Right.
hard to kind of keep that mindset and like teach other people that mindset while being like, shit, I'm not taking shots. That's out. But I don't know. It just takes there's a sense of boldness and courage. I think that comes with it, which is why I can respect people who do it all the time. But like,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's easier said than done to me.
Agreed. Agreed. And I think that's why when I was talking about last week, like it's easy for me to be like that when it comes to business or closing a deal or, I am shooting my shot at all type of corporate partnerships and stuff right now. And for me, it's like, okay, if it don't work out, it don't work out. Like on to the next. But when it comes to dating, to me, that's a different level of confidence and a different level of even being vulnerable. I don't know that I'm willing to allow myself to be that vulnerable again to shoot my shot and it not go through.
Yeah.
that's fair.
But then, I mean, then again, I guess if we're gonna go into a sports term, like when you shoot a shot, you're gonna do your best to be as accurate as possible or to
Mm-hmm.
do it in the correct form, right? And if you don't make
Right.
it, it's kind of like you did your best to try and make that shot.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's easier said than done, but also knowing that it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with like your beauty or who you are as a person. It's more so like you do what you have to do. It just didn't sink in, and that's all right. I'm gonna try again the next time. Hopefully this will resonate within myself.
Right.
Mhm.
So after him, I definitely felt like I could do it again. But then, the neighbor situation happened. Andrea said, "You're not rejected until you're blocked." In my book, uh,
Dang.
that is definitely it's over. When you block, you're blocked. So I actually mentioned there was some extra credit going on. And I don't know, Haize and Simone, if y'all are in the Facebook Live or whatever, but the second guy actually joined the live tonight because he wanted to
Woo!
hear what the thoughts were on airball. Like,
Mm.
because he didn't feel like it was an airball for me. He was like, it just wasn't the right time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask. He's like, okay, bet, I'm tuning in. And he did, y'all. He definitely tuned in. So kudos to him because I feel like he's such a dope guy. Like, he's super honest, like, transparent, and he's really dope. And I don't know, Simone, we actually played a song at the beginning of the live tonight. And
Mhm.
says shut the door on Facebook. But we played a song and it actually is a artist that he sent and the song is really dope. I'm gonna have to share it with y'all. It's a young lady by the name of Necco Stewart. It was really dope. But let's see. Facebook said what we like him and they said don't be me. Yeah, don't be me, y'all, and blow it up and make it like something it really wasn't in your head because I really did. I really did blow it up. But okay, so I think we have some questions for our BFF page. I'm gonna let Simone start because I think one of the things we want to make sure that we get here on the Tennis Does Not Equal Beauty podcast, especially with this topic of dating while plus size, is the male perspective on some of the things that we blow up in our heads, when
Okay.
it comes to dating. So, Simone, what questions would you like to get the male perspective on?
Hmm. I didn't necessarily think about this.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to post for my followers to ask. Um, but all right, let's say this. So I was dealing with someone, I guess for my own personal advice, right? I was dealing with someone, and in the beginning, like he showed a lot of interest. He was very consistent. He, we had history, and he was doing his best to kind of like, fix his past mistakes. Um, but maybe about like 2 weeks into it, he kind of like went back right into the same thing. And because we have history and because I've seen this before, I had to be like, listen, we're done. I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore because we've been it. The same stuff. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can cuss anymore.
I mark
But
everything as explicit, so it's fine.
okay, cool. So I just wonder, like, what is it like when it comes to like someone who's inconsistent? What are like the main reasons why someone would like go back into like getting involved with someone? They change it up in the beginning, but then they go right back to the same thing.
So there's a few different reasons that can go. Like familiarity is a big thing because they are familiar with you. But I think a lot of times too, people think that they can change certain things about them that they just can't. Like the thing that I always say to people is that some people can 100% try their hardest to change something, but if it's just in them, it's not going to change. I think oftentimes we confuse effort with the result that we see. So because you didn't see the result of change, like I'm not saying that you looked at it as him not putting in the effort, but some people may have looked at that as like you're not really trying. And it's like, no, I am trying. Like if somebody, for example, we're all black here. If somebody tells us try 100% to turn white, we're not going to do it. We can give our all, but it's not going to happen. Sometimes people just can't change certain things about themselves, regardless of how hard they try to change it. And that's when
Right.
it's important to not look at the familiarity or not the fact that you know them or the history or whatever it is, and just be like, look, this is you. It's not necessarily a bad thing because there's somebody else who this may very well be enough for them, but for me and where I am, this is not enough for me, so we can't pursue it. And I think we kind of villainize not when we decide that we're not going to deal with anybody anymore, because we have to kind of present it as if it's something wrong with them. It doesn't have to necessarily be something wrong. It's just something that
Yeah.
that we just can't deal with. And so, like, to answer your original question, because I know I kind of talked around, is like, why would he not change it? Maybe it's just something about him he just can't change. Like, it's just him.
But it's not necessarily about like why can't he change it. It's
Mm-hmm.
that like I said, we've had history. We've known each other for like 4 years, and we've had the same conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I've told him what it is that I require. And he said he was on the same page as I was, but then 2 weeks later went back to the same thing. So I'm like, were you expecting me to be different? Because I was only expecting different from him because he said he was ready to show me differently. You
Mm.
know, so it's not necessarily that I'm like he's gonna change now that he's here, but it's more so like, why are you saying that you ain't doing it? It's like, what's the point? Why are
Yeah.
we doing
And I don't know him, so I don't want to kind of like make it negative or whatever. But honestly, in the case like that, just from me hearing it and hearing from your perspective, it really seems like he may be really, really into you, and he knew what your problem was beforehand. So of course he kind of knew what to say he was going to change to kind
it?
of reel you back in. But just from what I know and the information I know, it just really seems like it was more of that. All right, I'm going to do this so I can get her back in, and hopefully it eventually she'll just be able to learn to deal with it. That's just how I take it from what I know. So I would say that like it just seemed like maybe he didn't ever have the intention always to really change it.
That. All right, for sure. You
All right.
confirm things for
So
me, so
I guess I have a follow up question because, and I guess this goes back to like I treat dating like I treat business, and in business you always are told that, especially from a leadership perspective, that it's not the intent that matters, it's the perception.
Mm,
So I try to always move in a way that I think of the person on the other end's perception first, and my intention second. So how do you apply that to dating? Because she had the conversation, she was communicating her
mm,
needs, And how do you come back to the table and say, hey, my needs are still not being met? I'm not trying to change who you are as an individual. I'm just asking, where can we compromise?
I mean, just like you said, like I think we often too much like don't just say flat out how we feel. We think, oh, how we need to present this. I'm not saying like come out the top like, hey, bro, what you doing? Like not like that, but just like the way you said it. Like, look, this is my need. This is what I feel like you're getting. This is the gap between what you're doing and my need. And if let's have an honest conversation. If you feel like you can't help me bridge that gap, or we can't meet in the middle, or if you can't budge on where you are, then we need to have a different conversation. And like life is too short to waste hoping that a motherfucker is gonna change like for so long. Like it's just, and that's just real. Like it's so many people who waste the prime of their lives thinking people are gonna change. And honestly, for the most part, people don't change a lot. Like they get better at certain things, they get a different perspective of things, and it changes little slight things that may look like a bigger change. But most of the time, people just are who they are. And I think we don't really want to face that because we get caught up in we care about them or they're a good person. And like it's so many people who like, how many times have you heard somebody say but they're a good person? Just because they're a good person doesn't mean they're good for you. And I think that's something that we need to pay attention to more often.
Hold on. Okay, y'all, hold on one second. So, we're having some sound issues tonight, so we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna drop so that way we can get this sound together. We're not gonna end the live. You're gonna see another screen come up, and you'll hear some music, and then we're gonna jump right back in because I know if it's bothering me, it's bothering y'all, and the whole point is for us to get our answers from Haize and Simone and myself. So we're gonna be back.
I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. You could be Mr. Right. At this point in my life, I will not sacrifice. If we don't vibe, it's not rocket science, it's chemistry. You gotta match my energy. I won't let loneliness, no, have me tolerate disrespect. I won't let loneliness, no, force me to a life of regret. Yeah, I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush.
Hey y'all, so I am back. I hope that this is much better for you guys. That was really killing me. Probably didn't bother y'all as much as it was bothering me, but I couldn't hear Haize, and if I couldn't hear him, I feel like y'all couldn't hear him. So, we just want to get it right. So, we're back. I'm going to read some of the comments in the chat from when we were talking. Simone was asking Haize a question about someone that she was dating, and she had kind of brought some things to the table. She didn't see any change. And so Haize was giving us his input on it. And it looks like some of the Facebook comments says, as women, we always give men 50-11 chances and fall for potential. Takora said, child. Brandy said, I feel like there is no compromise. People just aren't your person. Don't waste your time. And we got a period on that one. And so Haize is back with us. Okay, Haize.
I got comments.
Yeah, so I feel like as women, we do give men like so many chances, and I don't know, like I've never been good at finding the balance between when is enough, because I feel like there is a such thing as too soon, especially if you're just getting to know somebody. I feel like you have to take time to read them and watch them, and not just listen to them, but watch them. And so I don't know, what are your thoughts on we give men too many chances?
Yes. I mean, flat out, yes, you do. But men give women too many chances sometimes too, because how many times do men will look over because she cooks or she got a big butt? Like in general, like women do give men more chances because, like we talked about in the first episode, I feel like men judge a woman's love based off how much bullshit she's willing to deal with. So to say that, I can definitely agree, and I feel that for my sisters. And the thing is like the time, like you have to trust when somebody shows you who the fuck they are. Like that's what it boils down to. Like and so often like oh, but he does this, but he does that. Like the thing is, and even with men and looking at it as women, you can be beautiful, you can cook, you can have a great job, but all that don't mean shit if you're not feeding into me mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. If you leave me empty with all that shit. And then women too, like the thing that I want to make sure that I point out with women is stop falling for attention, because sometimes people show you a bunch of attention because they literally have nothing else of substance to offer you. That's called love bombing. They'll give you all this attention and give you all this favor and give you all this to cover up the fact that they're an empty motherfucker who ain't got shit left. When you need them and you having a bad day and you need somebody to console you or to lift you up, they ain't got shit to offer you. Stop falling for attention. And then for the person who says there's no such thing as compromise, love is an everyday fucking compromise. So there has to be compromise in a sense, but you don't compromise your values and the person you are. Like that's where compromise becomes dangerous. When you start compromising your morals just because you love a motherfucker, then no, you're only hurting yourself in the long run for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Simone, I know we left off on your question, but we came back with a bang. So there's so much to say. I'm gonna just let you go, sis. What you got to say?
I think you make a great point about chances and how lenient we are when it comes to liking someone. I think we do end up sacrificing, those core values and morals that are really important to us, all because we like somebody, or they're portraying a certain type of person that you want in your life. But at the core of it, if you're giving up something that's really important to you, the way you're treated, the way you're spoken to, whatever it is, I feel like that's a situation where you're gonna lose in general. And on top of that, like, not only is it important like to ignore a man who's only giving you attention, but also ignore the man who talks but doesn't back it up. I feel like we get so stuck in like, well, he said this, he said he was gonna do this, so I know or he said he would take me this, or whatever it is. A lot of empty promises are made, but when it comes to the action, it's nowhere to be found. And I think we have to be really mindful of that. Somebody's just talking out the side of their face and their hands are still not doing anything. It's like, what's the point? And you end up wasting time, because at that point, it's an imbalance of effort. So you're going to continue because he says he's going to do all these things. So you're going to continue to give the effort based on what he said.
Right.
Yeah.
But then your effort is all for naught because he doesn't follow through.
Yeah, I agree. I think we also too have to pay attention to the things that we continuously tell people to do for us. Like, for example, I dated somebody. I was talking to somebody one time who we didn't necessarily live in the same city. We lived in the same area. It was like a 30-45 minute distance, and the person was going to be in, my city for the day. And I was like, oh, am I going to see you? Like that's not a question that if you're talking to somebody and they're genuinely interested in you, that you should have to ask. They should be like, oh, I'm going to be in your city that, I have this going on, but I want to make sure, I can see you, or can we make plans, or whatever the case may be. I think we also have to pay attention to what it is that we constantly are asking people to do for us when it comes to relationships. Because I think some things should just be, I ain't gonna say common sense, but it should just be a general thing that people do. You know,
Common sense ain't so common. That's the second
it's
part.
not. It's not. So I don't know. I don't know. Have you felt like you've done that a lot in a relationship, Simone? Like where you're constantly telling somebody, "Oh, we should do this. Like we should go out, or we should um, do hang out here, or let's do this, or
Like kind of like leading the dates,
yeah."
kind of telling them what they need to do. Absolutely not.
You said no. See, and
No.
that's where I didn't want to say the word lead because I feel like Haize like ripped my head off last week when I talked about, wanting somebody to lead. But to me, those are things that I look for. Do you take initiative when it comes to what we're gonna do? Is it as important to you as it is to me to want to spend time together, or to do something as simple as if we in the same city, like can we do a drive by? Like we ain't
Yeah, and
gotta
I
get
think
out the
that's
car. Like I see you.
right. And I think that's where it kind of gets sticky. It's like I don't know in the beginning of when you're interested in somebody or you're feeling them or whatever, you kind of want I don't know. I think that is that traditionalist part of me because there's some parts of me that are more like not like non-gender conforming when it comes to like norms and roles that what women should do. But that's something I
Right,
look to because if you're like, okay, I want to hang out with this person, he's like, I want to hang out with her. I'm going to make sure that the night is planned. I think further down the line, if you become more comfortable with that person, I think that's when women start to be more like, shit, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that.
right.
Um, I think that is when there should be a little bit more, I don't know, free reign. Because I don't want to make it seem like the man should do everything.
Right. There's balance. There's definitely
Right.
balance. But I think at the core of a relationship, like it goes back to something I heard Fantasia say one time, like the man is the head and I'm the neck. Like
Yeah.
where you
I love
turn,
that.
I'm going. So you lead by example. I'm gonna go to some of our Facebook comments. Takora says, I want to be led, damn it. Sis. When I tell you if I didn't have to make another decision in life, like I make decisions all day for my brand, for all these other things. When I come home, I don't want to make no more decisions. I want somebody to make some decisions for me. Like, what you
And
want to eat.
I think that comes with think being more of a powerhouse in real life. Like you
Yeah,
said, you make a lot of choices, and you're constantly having to be the head of something, and it feels good to relax and not even think about making a major decision. So
right.
being in your marriage is a level of like not escaping that, but more so having a reason to relax and let go and let somebody else take the lead. But
Right.
kind of like what you're saying, like the first time we talked about this, like that's something that needs to be communicated. I feel like because there are some things that you can collaborate on with your partner, and I think if you let them know that on top, they're aware of what it is that you need, and then from there they can kind of like you know gear their actions towards making sure that both of you are satisfied in the situation.
Agreed. Adriana or Adria, if I'm pronouncing your right name wrong, charge it to my head and not my heart thoughts. She said that's where communication, basically what you said, she said that's where communication comes into play. And you have to discuss your love language. Just because someone doesn't, let's see more, because someone doesn't reciprocate your actions doesn't mean they don't value or love you. They just don't speak the same love language as you. And I think that's something we haven't even tapped into is love language. Like, understanding what your love language is imperative to even want to start dating, because you have to understand what your mental and spiritual needs are outside of the physical needs. Because I mean, we talked about it last week. Almost anybody can please your physical needs. You can teach somebody how to please, your physical needs. But when it comes to those spiritual and mental needs, like, you have to know what it is that you're trying to bring to your table. We talked about last week, like I said, my table is set. What are you coming to the table with? Like, I know that I need somebody that not only is a good communicator, but they have good comprehension skills. Can you comprehend what it is that I'm communicating to you? Like, I don't want to be speaking, one language and you're over here like, I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to shake my head and say yes, because I want this conversation to be over with and I want us to move on. But Haize, we're talking about, someone commented about talking about love language. And I think that's something we hadn't even, talked about, as far as understanding what your personal love language is before you even start thinking about dating.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's the importance of taking your time while you're single to get to know you, to date yourself, to figure out what you like. And like for me personally, like I figured out like my love language ain't none of that typical love language crap at all. So I don't feel like I fall like all that doesn't mean anything to me. When people ask me that, I say my love language is space, and then people automatically like crunch their face up at that. And this is what I mean by that. I don't mean like space away from you. I mean space to be me, space to make mistakes, space to figure out, give me time to figure out how I need to love you, space to be imperfect, space to be your leader, space to just be me. Like people fit people into these boxes so often to feel like they're gonna find the perfect person to fit in this box that they made in their life. You can't box Haize in. Haize, you have to give me space and then allow me to fill that space in what makes Haize amazing. And then through that, I'm going to show you how I love you, and you will never be loved like you can be loved by me. But I need the space to do that.
I'm sure y'all heard that. So that reminds me of a tweet I saw. Y'all know I'm always on Twitter. Well, as of lately, I'm always on Twitter. But I saw a tweet the other day. Flaws of Couture, she tweeted, "If you didn't know that I was funny, it's because you never made me feel comfortable enough to be myself." And I think that was such a powerful tweet, because there's a lot of things that people do not, see. They don't see different versions of us because that we were never comfortable to be around them. And comfort level comes from different things. Like, I could be cool with somebody and, I could even call you a friend, but there can still be certain versions of me that you would never see, because you don't know what people's intentions are. They've never opened themselves up to be vulnerable with you, to show them their full self, so you feel comfortable to, really show who you are. There's just so many things with that. Simone, I don't know if you saw the tweet, but what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that's the one thing that I search for, like, as I do continue this quest of being cuffed, I guess.
Come on,
is my ability my ability to be myself, because I am a rather, like, as much as I talk out all the time on like social media, and I'm always like posting pictures of me, like, in bathing suits and whatnot, whatever, showing more intimate parts of myself. I'm a very secretive and private person when it comes to who I really am at the core. And if I can't be that person with whoever it is that I'm dating, it won't work, And I've tried to almost like skip those steps, kind of like what you're saying, Haize, like that, the step of like allowing space for you to be able to learn another person, because that's like low key awkward, right? Like,
Yeah.
that time when somebody messes up and you really care about them, but you want to tell them like, hey, I didn't like that. It feels weird to do that, but it has to be done because you can't learn without making mistakes. So at least, they're allowing there to be space so that you can correct yourself. And I find myself sometimes skipping that, but I think it actually is more necessary than we give it credit for, because that is when you feel like you start breaking down those walls and that authenticity comes in, if that makes sense.
I think that was good.
Yeah.
Hey,
No, I agree. I agree. I feel that.
so Facebook comments, Dominique says that both have to be willing to learn another love language. It can't be one sided, which is, I agree. Like Hay said, you every day is going to be a compromise, but I think it's understanding what does that look like, and that's why for me that comprehension part is so key because, like in the situation with Simone, she's literally telling someone what it is she needs. And he maybe thought he really had an idea of what that looks like for you. But when it came down to it when the actions that he was putting forward wasn't what you were looking for. So it probably wasn't that he didn't want to do it. He just didn't understand what it looks like from your point of view. Um, so another Facebook comment says having difficult conversations are key in a relationship. Discomfort makes us great. Um, Brandy says, but are we as women rushing a connection? She says that shit takes time and you can't put a timestamp on that. And I agree. We talked about talking about that in the first episode of there are stages to dating, and we can't skip each level trying to get to the ultimate prize or whatever the case may be. I think we really have to, if we're going to be intentional about dating, if we're really going to get serious about getting cuffed, because I don't know if y'all seen our post earlier. I'm definitely trying to be on the beach somewhere with somebody's son, this year. So I am intentional about the moves that I make. And so it is important for me to take that time and get to know the person that, I'm dating or whatever. I think one time I heard Pastor Torre and Sarah Jake Roberts talk about when they first dated, and she introduced Pastor Torre to Bishop T.D. Jakes and her mom, First Lady. And Bishop asked PT, like, I know what's right with you, but what's wrong with you? And for me, that question sent me over the edge because I've never been bold enough to ask somebody what's wrong with you, and giving them the grace to answer honestly to see if it's something I'm willing to put up with. Or am I willing to shift, and not say put up with, am I willing to shift and accommodate? Let me say that. I'm going to throw it to y'all. Any comments? I don't know. Is our sound messed up again?
No, it's just I mean, is it? I can hear
Oh,
you
no,
guys.
I
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
now. I can hear you now.
Okay. Um, I think
Y'all
that's
say
interesting.
something. Brandy said, and that's cool, but do Beach Boy need to be back? Wait a minute. I don't know.
I mean, listen. I mean, this is my thing though. I guess when it comes to dating and whatnot, everyone talks about like we date. Some people date with intention. Some people date just to
Mhm.
date. And the truth is, when you meet a new person, you either going to end up breaking up with them or they're going to be, the person you're with forever.
Right.
So, and I think a lot of us we go into things with expectations of how we think it's supposed to turn out. And granted, having expectations for yourself and like how to be treated, I believe is great. But when it comes to dating, I think when you go in expecting something major, I think that can like, I don't know. I feel like that could kind of like flip the switch or flip how you. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I think.
I get what you're saying. And for me, like, I first meet somebody, I don't have no expectation other than making it through the night. You know? because of the nature of my life and being a single mom and being a solopreneur. Like, I could have time today to date you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to have time tomorrow or 3 weeks from now or whatever the case may be. So being open to, can I just make it through tonight and have fun in the moment and not being like, oh, wow, this is going to be my husband. Let me go ahead and pick out how many kids we going to have, where our wedding going to be. None of that. It's just, can I have fun in the moment and give myself the grace to get to know somebody for who they are without the I don't know the word, but like without all of my expectations hanging over their head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Haize, what are your thoughts about the dating and the expectations?
I think once we realize that most of the people you date, it's kind of like just like what we said with shooting your shots, are going to fail. Most of the people you spend time with, if our goal is to find R1, then most of them are destined to fail as it is. So once you learn to let that go, learn what you can learn from each situation, have fun, then you don't feel like you're at a loss or something. I hate hearing so many people like when they say like, I wasted time, I waste X amount of years on somebody. It's like, if you wasted those years, it's only because you didn't go into it with the right expectations. Like, it's going to fail. Like, and when you walk away from it, look at evaluate what you did and what you learned from it, and then move on. What I'll say, and this is a man, and if any men are watching this, I know I'm going to get feedback because I'm giving away the code. But so if when you meet someone, everybody has that conversation, well, what went wrong with your last relationship? If you go on a laundry list of what your ex did not do, all you've given somebody is the blueprint on how to con you and to try to make you think that they're different than your ex. Focus that conversation on you and your personal growth, because then what does that do? That shows the people, all right, this is what I'm learning about her. When you just go off on a tangent about, well, my ex didn't do this and he never did that and he never made me feel like this. All right, now if I'm a creep, I know exactly how to make you feel comfortable, so then I can make my move. So
No, you're right about that, and that's why I always flip that question around because of the fact, like, I already know. I have been fortunate enough to have plenty of male friends in my life, and yeah, I know. So I don't know. Do you answer that question, Simone, or how do you handle that question when you first getting to know somebody?
If them asking me like what my last relationship was like,
Yeah, or the other one is why are you still single?
why am I still single? I'd be like, because I'm picky. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's the truth. Or I'll say like, I don't know, I'm not in the space to be vulnerable enough to let somebody in at this point in time. Like, I'm honest about it. If they really want to know, if it's not them just asking like, you too pretty to be single, you know what I'm saying, which is so corny. If you really want to know the answer, I'll tell you the answer. And it's not even that I'm not vulnerable. Like, I'm not ready to be vulnerable. More so like, I am not always as vulnerable as I need to be in a relationship. So that's something I'm working on, so that when the time does come and there is a potential for a relationship, I know how to be the most prepared. So I'm gonna be honest about it, because if you are genuinely curious about it, and if you are interested in trying to be with me at some point, like, that's something you need to know, so that you're not, I don't know, hanging on by a thread thinking that this will eventually happen, or there's some magical reason as to why it's happening. Here's the truth. You either deal with it or you don't.
Agreed. Well, I know we had several questions for Haize today. But I think I want to open the floor up and see, Haize, what are some questions that you may have for the ladies?
why don't y'all ever know what y'all want to eat? No, I'm just playing.
Oh, I think can I start with this one, Simone? Can I start with this one?
Go ahead, please do.
And I'm going to speak for myself. These opinions are those of Christina Howe and not of Kirby Johnson or anybody else on this podcast. But this goes back to having a man lead. It's not that we don't know what we want to eat. It's the fact of, do you know me enough to know what I want to eat? You know what I'm saying?
Ma'am, listen.
Do that.
I know you want to come from me, but I'm just being honest. Like, it's not that we don't know what we want. It's not that we don't know. We just want you to take the initiative and say, babe, get your purse, put your shoes on. We're going to Wolf Creek. I don't know, wherever. Just tell us to come on and stop waiting on us to tell you what we want to do.
That is a stretch of vibe. Like you have stretch. You are Stretch Armstrong in this mug. That ain't got nothing to
No,
do with lead. Like no, no. Because then then after too long it'd be like we always eating here. See, this is the thing. Like this is the thing, and this wasn't even a real question, but I'm glad you answered it that way because I was honestly joking when I answered this question. Is like I get what you're saying, and I know that a man leading is very important to you. In our conversations that we've had, I can understand that that's very important to you, and yet that you're right to have that standard. But everything leading is also serving. So to serve, you have it's not it's not just everybody's always going to be, because that's submitting to you in a way. That's saying, hey, even if I had an idea in my head and I say, hey baby, what do you want to eat? And you're like, I don't know. Then the follow-up could be, hey, maybe we can do this, or maybe we can do that. Or have you thought about this? Or like, I get that point. But at the same time, how would like, if you're always waiting, like, because every time we ask you a question about relationships, it's always he needs to lead. At what point do they get to learn what you like if you're just always waiting for them to lead, love? That's all I got to ask you. Like,
so you actually missed this part because Simone and I talked about this when she first joined and we had technical difficulties and you dropped. So
okay.
The thing is not about me waiting for him to lead or anything of that nature. It's just the fact of knowing that he can and knowing that he will. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind telling you what I like, and I'll even drop hints throughout the day like, dang, I really would love some grilled chicken for dinner. And if you know my favorite place to get grilled chicken is Texas Roadhouse, then why can't I come home and be like, oh, don't sit your stuff down. We're about to go to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. Why do I have to come home and then you say, what you want to eat for dinner? Like I said, just not too long ago, for me, I make decisions all day. Running a company, running, other ventures and things like, I make decisions all day. When I come home, I don't want to have to make a decision on what we eat for dinner. There are some things that when I come home, I would like to just like, hey, this is what we about to do. Let's roll.
I feel it.
So Facebook is saying, sorry, you go, Simone, then I'll say what Facebook said.
No. Okay, so sure, yeah, it's about like, yeah, if you gave me like, sure, if you figured, actually, no, that's not true. Because if a guy was like, we gonna have this and I didn't like it, I'd be like, no, I don't want that. So I think it's not so much as like, I would like a man to lead. Truth be told, if, I don't know, food is important, I don't know. And when you really want something, you have to figure it out. So if someone's like, what do you want to eat? And there's so many things in the world and so many options. Like, I think honestly, it would be better if you gave like 3 options, like almost like a little kid, low key. Like give me like, you want ice cream, you want chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. Don't say you have cookies and cream, Rocky Road, butter pecan, because then we'll be like, yes, everything. Like, I know it was a joke question, but
right. But I like the question. I appreciate the question because at the end of the day, like, yes, you may suggest something I may not want, but then that's when that communication comes in, and you're like, you know what? I really was thinking so and so, and then you talk about it. Neither one of us is sitting there waiting on the other to make a decision. We're communicating about what it is that we're getting ready to do. It's not you make up a decision and let me know when you're ready to go. Well, dang, now I'm mad because you sitting here putting it all on me and I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I understand what you mean.
So
I need to be the fly on the wall.
Facebook, Latasha said taking initiative means so much. Asia said listening is key. Adria said a closed mouth don't get fed. If he asks, just tell him. Brandy said, babe, take me to Texas Roadhouse. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even know if Atlanta has a Texas Roadhouse. Roadhouse, but listen, take me to Texas Roadhouse. You can never go wrong taking me to Texas Roadhouse. So, what was your
Fair
serious
enough.
question?
So my serious question is this, and this is something that I think we don't ask ourselves a lot. We don't ask each other enough. Is we sit sometimes we expect like this perfect person to come in our lives and them to fit in whatever space that we have and it's going to work out, but I don't think we really prepare ourselves for that person. So this is what I'm going to present to you ladies. How have you been preparing yourself for your perfect man to pop up in your life? And I don't mean having a career, I don't mean being a go-getter in that, because really all that is, because you can lose all that in a day, and that wouldn't necessarily or shouldn't affect a great relationship. So I mean, what have you been doing to really prepare if your perfect person was to jump in your DMs right after we get off this live?
Simone, you want to go first, or you want me to? I
Your
have an
face is
answer, but
like,
I don't want to overtalk you either.
no, it's fine. What I'm doing to prepare myself is is working through those unmet needs. You know, those things that in my soul have yet to be solved, and that maybe I was looking for someone to solve them for me. I was looking for someone to, yeah, pretty much rescue me from that inner turmoil that I've, experienced through like past trauma or whatever it is. And I'm also working on, like I said earlier, one of the things, well, two things I think I struggle with are vulnerability and communicating my truth. I'm really good at like expecting everyone to be truthful with me and be vulnerable with me. But on the flip side, I'm more like, I'm gonna keep that to myself. Thank you for being honest. And then it kind of becomes this unfair balance of like, wait, if we're supposed to be, developing a connection, I'm missing out on this. So those are the two things that I know are standing in the way. And also, truth be told, like I can keep it a buck here just because there's a lot of, women who look like me or have had experience like being a fat black woman or whatever. I have had to conquer this idea that like someone might like me just because I'm fat or someone might not like me just because I'm fat. Kind of like breaking down the mentality that I've built around being fat. And I think in some ways it has limited me because I'm so wary of how people treat me and how people treat fat women. And I have to work on letting that go because I feel like that could definitely put like a damper on me building with someone. You know what I mean?
Girl, I
That's
want to
deep.
give you like so many snaps for that because, like, I think that's important. I think if more people, I'm not even just going to say women, but if more people took the time to have those serious conversations with themselves, we wouldn't even be having a conversation about dating while plus size or fat phobias or any of the other conversations that have been prevalent on Twitter and social media this week. Um, but I think for me, it is just being able to look in the mirror and have those hard conversations with myself. If for those that have been following the virtual cruise, when we did Wellness Wednesday with Goddess Detox, I talked a lot about my spiritual journey as a believer in Jesus Christ. And for the last year and a half, like I have been devoted to my relationship with God first, and understanding who it is that he has called me to be, what my purpose is, and kind of who am I? With if I wasn't a mother, if I wasn't an entrepreneur, if I wasn't a daughter, if I wasn't a sister, like who is Christina? And really understanding what it is that I like. Because when I'm not working, I'm a mother. And when I have those moments where I don't have either, I literally sit in the house. I would sit in the house and do nothing because I didn't know what I like to do outside of those things. So, as my last few months in my 20s, I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out what it is that I like. What makes me laugh? What makes me feel like that was a great night, or, this was really fun. I would like to do this hobby again and things like that. So, and then also too, dealing with the baggage that I have from past relationships, and that's friendships and romantic relationships. I don't think that people spend enough time understanding the trauma of friendships, and how those can be just as detrimental to a romantic relationship as, bad romantic relationship. Because sometimes we are so vulnerable with our friends, and when things go sour, it stops us from wanting to be vulnerable in other areas as well. So it's even having to deal with myself in some of those relationships that I thought I had let go, and how you build up these walls. I really don't care anymore. But as soon as you hear their name, those emotions start coming back. You're like, well, maybe I do care. I think I spend a lot of time thinking about that. But at the root of it, it's really understanding who I am and what it is that I enjoy outside of any other titles that I have.
Okay. All right. Last question. This is the last one I have. We could. I'm sorry for hijacking the show, and this is one that I think men can get a lot out of is hearing the vulnerability and hopefully the honesty. Would you find loving you to be difficult?
Mm.
Um, would I find loving me? I was like, Simone, you went last time. I ain't gonna throw you on the bus twice. Um, would I find loving me difficult? Loving me can be difficult because um, I've been a single mom since I was 19. You know, so that's gonna be in a true romantic relationship and something that's leading to longevity. That's gonna be difficult for me and my child. Having to understand how to make that shift. Is it gonna be difficult? Heck yes. Is it gonna be worth it? Heck yes. Like
That's what I wanted to
I think
hear.
I'm an amazing
Yeah.
person to be in a relationship with. I'm a giver. I'm a giver in any relationship. And if anybody's been following Kirby Fox for the last few weeks, that's just who I am as a person. If I see somebody who has a need, I'm gonna give. And it's not about what I get back from it. It's just making sure if I have it, God gave it to me for a reason. I'm gonna give that. So I think having a relationship with me is a ball, but it's not no cakewalk, But I know my husband gonna be happy. You hear me? Happy.
All right now.
For me, I would say yes, straight up, just because I have a lot of walls up, and I'm obviously, as a lot of people are, I'm very protective. Like I said, kind of secretive and protective about who I am at my core. So it takes a lot to break down those walls. Of course, it is, a dual demolition of the walls because I got a demo from my side, he got a demo from his side. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like a lot of people um, don't know exactly what to do with that. So I think it can be hard for people. I'm also, I don't know, I got a smart mouth too. So if you're trying to say certain things, I might be like, and also, you know what? Yes, it is. It is
Yeah.
because I'm always trying to escape. I'm always trying to escape. I think that's really what it is at the source of it. I'm always the one to be like, you know what? Even if I like this person, if I feel myself getting too deep, I'll be like, all right, bye, gotta go. Um, and I'm sure people get tired of that shit. So yeah, but like you said, I mean, is it worth it? Absolutely, without a doubt.
Worth it. Yeah. No. We'll throw back for y'all.
Oh
But
man, that's funny.
Hayes, I want to know. So, would you date you? Would it be difficult dating
Oh,
you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because not just for the fact that because I'm super laid back, I'm adaptable. Hell, I grew up in Europe most of my life, so I'm like used to being in like all types of changing situations. So not from like that aspect, but dating me means that you are going to be held accountable. It means that I want to be held accountable too. And that is not pretty for some people. It's easy for people to be all the lovey-dovey and kissy face, and I want that. But at the same time, if you do something that's foul, not even to me or in our relationship, if I see you treating somebody outside, like, are you doing something like treating a waiter like they're shit, I'm gonna be like, hey, like, first of all, especially like if you carry my last name, we don't do that, because everything that you do is now a testament and put on my name. So because of that, there's a certain way that we need to act and handle ourselves. Now, if somebody gets with you, then I'm going to be the first one like, baby, get them. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like that desire to be held accountable I have. And also, there's no one, like, I don't want anybody around me who has a fear of being held accountable. And that's, people aren't really used to that. People are used to their friends excusing them because, oh, that's just such and such, they just do that. No, because not only are you now, because if you're with me, that means I've seen something in you that's amazing. So if I see you doing anything less than that amazing person I know you can be, and it doesn't mean I'm going to do it harshly or not in a loving way. It's going to be all in love, but I'm going to say, hey, that's not you. Like, what's up with that? So I'm going to hold that, and that accountability is not always easy for people. It's not easy for me, but it's something that I want. And then also, I am an ambitious motherfucker. And I have like my photography business, my short film business, I and people will say all the time like they get intimidated by having busy partners. If that's you, then it's not going to be easy being with me because I'm going to be busy. But guess what? I know how to cut off time and say, oh yeah, I know I've been busy all week, but guess what? Sunday, I ain't doing nothing. I'm putting everything on lockdown. It's me and you, what you want to do. But sometimes getting to that point is difficult for people. So absolutely, I'm difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I just accountability. Thank you, accountability. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I can say. Simone, you got it,
No,
though.
no, definitely it is so important to hold your partner accountable. I think like sometimes there is an imbalance. Women want to help hold men accountable all the time, but when a man does in return, it's like, how dare you? And so you have to be really ready to, you know, deal with that shit, even if it's, I don't know, whatever. But I think you made a great point about like being a busy partner, because I've heard a lot of men talk about this and be like, well, if she can't respect that I'm busy and she only be me, I might not be able to talk to her all day, every day, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. Um, but I think it's important. It's less. I think from the woman's perspective, it's less about like you being busy and more so about the communication around it. Like
Mhm.
you can be busy the entire week, but if I haven't spoken to you and I feel like I have to chase after you at that point, I feel like that's when it becomes a problem versus being able to communicate, hey, I am busy this week, but like you said on Sunday, this is our day, or I'm sorry I haven't been able to talk to you for the past couple of days. Having that communication so that, because it's easy to feel forgotten in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think for me, somebody posted something on Twitter about how people should work from home every day, forever. That doesn't work for me. Like, I like going into an office. I like separating my home from my work because I want to leave that at the office. When I come home, I want to have that family time. I want to, like, I like sitting down at the table and having dinner, so I don't want to eat dinner in front of the TV and things like that. So I think it's even making sure, even if you are a busy partner, making sure that your home is still feels like a home and it's not a second office. Yeah, we can have different rooms where we need to pop in and do one or two things that, that's cool, but I don't want anybody to feel like, you know, they have to tiptoe around me in my business in the home. So I think creating those separations even then is true too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Hayes, do you have another question for us or maybe like Facebook?
I got nothing else at all. That's all I had that I prepared for as far as to ask. Yeah, I got nothing else. So
So Facebook, I think Hayes asked us a really good question. Are you difficult to date? And why? Why would you say it would be difficult to date you? Let us know. It looks like, hold on. So, okay, we got some transparency in the Facebook. Brandy says, I am toxically independent. I am pretty sure that I'd be perfectly fine being alone for the rest of my life. That partnership is hard for me, but that comes from having trust issues. I'ma hold my own ball. That way I don't have to worry about you dropping it. I'ma work on it. First of all, thank you for being honest, because I think if a lot of people were honest, like, especially if you've been single for a long time, letting go of that independence is going to be hard for anybody, you know? But Haize, what do you think about Brandy's comment about dating her would be difficult?
I think dating you when you know what you want, it should be difficult because that weeds out the people who are just going to waste your time. So I don't think like difficult is a negative per se, as long as it's within reason. As far as like being toxically independent, that is something that I think, unfortunately, like the way that our culture has been, like we've hardened our women to the point to where they have to be like that. And we've dropped the ball as men for so long with how we handle our women, that I can completely understand people being like that. And it starts with men holding men accountable. For so long, like we don't speak up on the way that our brothers treat women. And that's because we didn't want to be the sensitive one. We didn't want to be the punk. We didn't want to be the shut up, you acting like a girl right now. And that's just led to our women not only being hard, but now it's generational with people just not knowing how to treat women. So it starts with us. And that's us being the leaders of our community and our culture, that we have to be first. We have to hold men accountable, and iron sharpens iron. So I mean, I get it to a degree. Yeah, it's toxic. Yeah, it could be bad, but we've kind of created that bed, so we got to start to be the ones to fix it.
I agree. And Brandy, you are definitely not by yourself. I've had several conversations with people over the last few months with the over the fact that, I have had to be masculine so long that I do not recall how to be feminine in some moments. Like, because like I said, I've been a single mom since I was 19 years old. I'll be 30 next month. So, having to figure out and shift and make decisions for your home and your business throughout your whole 20s, like, you have had no choice but to be, as you said, toxically independent, and taking on both roles. And I know for a fact, like, I cannot teach my son how to be a man, but there are some things that I have to be harder on as than I normally would want to be, because there's nobody else to, take on that responsibility. So, Brandy, you're definitely not alone, sis, at all. Thailand said, I stay to myself a lot. I turn down dates just because I don't want to be around people. It's hard for me to reach out as well, even if I like you. I can want to talk to you and not say a word. Well, Thailand, do you want to be dating, or
Yeah,
I don't know?
lay off my Thailand. We not
I
going.
don't know.
She's real.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. Do we want to date? Since you know her, are you going to answer? Like, I think that's a
I
valid
can't.
question.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the place to answer that for her. I mean, yeah, that's just not my place to do. That's my
She said
homie
I'm
though.
very
That's
difficult to date. That's I went back up in the comments. She said I'm very difficult to date. Latasha said she's not difficult to date, but she did not let us know why she's not difficult to date. But Brandy said agreed. Dominique said, I am very independent. I had to grow up very fast in my life and had to be the caregiver. So, with that being said, I don't understand how to accept somebody caring for me because I'm not used to that being cared for, but caring for others. I think that is, I think women in general, because we are nurturers, it's always something. Well, I'm not gonna say everyone, because I'm trying to get flued out. Like, I want to see what that type of life be like at this point. So there are some women who don't feel that, but I feel you, Dominique. Tylen, I feel you with that too. She wants to, but she's afraid because of the past. I definitely understand that. Like, that's why for me, this past year, understanding what triggers I have from past relationships and how I can handle those triggers, has been really important. Understanding what makes me be like, oh, I've seen this before, let me run away. And versus communicating like, I've seen this before, this makes me feel this type of way, you know, and letting the other person receive what I've said and either change their actions, you know, towards that certain thing, or show me it's not important to them and we need to move around. Takora said same to Tylen. Oh, Simone was saying something. They said we can't hear Simone. Hold on, Simone. Don't leave. Don't leave. Hold on. There you go.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I was about to say, what the hell? I can relate to the being like very independent. I consider myself a serial monogamist, just because. No, that's not true. That's not true. A serial single person. What the fuck am I talking about? I've been single forever. I will say that. Yeah. Like the two kind of models of relationships were always dysfunctional, and it never felt like something like, you know, it never felt like an actual relationship. I feel like they were all like whatever. And I think that has definitely tailored how I navigate the dating world and like my expectations of dating. For me, I'm like, dysfunction is, I won't say all I know, but more so like it's hard for me to think that I could rely on somebody else, because how I've experienced relationships before, the person was extremely unreliable. So that's how that's what I see a lot. And then on top of that, you know, honestly, being fat, like the way people deal with you, even if they are interested in like getting to know you on a deeper level, I feel like the approach is always the same way, and it's something that I'm not fond of. So I would much rather sit back and be by myself than have to deal with somebody who might have a fat fetish on the inside and might not want to say it, or somebody who wants to experiment with a fat girl on the side. Like, there's just so many layers, I feel like, when it comes to figuring out if you want to spend your time with a person or not. So I've come to value my independence and my singledom just because there's less trouble here. As soon as you try to go out into the real world and maybe get to know somebody at a different level, that's when all the trouble comes back. So I'm like, what's the point? You know, I just be by myself.
I feel that. Unfortunately, I feel that too.
Yeah.
Sad. Okay. So I think we're gonna try to wrap this up this week. I think we did pretty good for time this week, guys. We're only an hour and a half this week. So let us know. I think this was actually, I don't know, this probably was one of my favorite conversations. What about y'all?
Absolutely.
I feel it. I love it. Getting to nitty gritty now. No more surface shit.
I know, right? So I don't know. I feel like I definitely, now that we've definitely dived, we cut the skin and we kind of hit some nerves now, I have some more questions for next week. But I have a something to ask. If we're gonna do a part 4, y'all have to chime in. If you want a part 4, send us your questions. If you have, and let us know who is it for. Is it for Haize? Is it for Simone? And because we appreciate their time, we don't want to hold them up because we all booked and busy. Even in the pandemic, we still moving. So if you want a part 4 with Simone and Haize, make sure you send us your questions and let us know. If not, we thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. This is the Thinness Does Not Equal Beauty podcast. We will be back next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Thank you so much to Simone Mariposa and Haize. Haize, where can they find you on social media?
You can follow me at CEO Haize. That's at CEO Haize, or at the King Haize on every social media platform.
the King Haize. And Simone, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on every social media platform at Simone Mariposa, Mariposa. That's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and everything in between.
Okay, cool. Thank y'all again for tuning in. You know, I am Christina Howe. I am the founder and creative director of Curvy Fox. You can find us on all social media platforms at Curvy Fox. Thank y'all and see y'all next week.
I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love. I ain't in no rush. You could be Mr. Right. At this point in my life, I will not sacrifice. If we don't vibe, it's not rocket science, it's chemistry. You gotta match my energy. I won't let loneliness, no, no, have me tolerate disrespect. I won't let loneliness, no, force me to a life of regret. Yeah, I either feel you or I don't. I cannot and I won't try to force love.